All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the TimingResearch.com crowd forecast news for June 16th, 2025. We are recording this at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is episode number 481. My name is David Kosmeter. I'm the creator of TimingResearch.com, and today I have arranged for an excellent expert trading panel to join us. So um, today's panel is Anka Metcalf, Sonny Harris, and Michael Filighera. And Jim, the option professor, is back to moderate, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay, thanks, David, and thanks everybody for being here because we've had a lot of action in the last week with the Iran and Israeli conflict and many other things going on. So we're after going to see where things are going to be going here. S&P had a nice up day today, but the high from last week of 6060 still seems to be intact. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody thinks. So let's start out with Sonny Harris, who's going to be renamed Sonny Mexico from now on. And I couldn't resist that one. And so, yeah, put up the sunny bands here. And are we breaking the top of the band, or is the top of a band kind of keeping us under the 6060 mark? Or
Well, let's see. Let me get back to Zoom
yeah,
and do share screen. You see it?
it says you're starting to share it, but there you
Yeah, I
go.
see it.
Yep, we're good. We're good.
All right. So we're in a little rollover pattern. We've come up nicely, and we go back down in probably a four wave and back up, but now we're rolling over. It was up today, but it was up not higher than the down bar yesterday. So we have not yet touched the upper outer band, which would normally be the line in the sand where everybody would stop and then it would go down. But it looks like it's showing weakness, and it looks like it's, to me, like it's going to go lower, cross the dynamic moving average, the DMA.
Hmm?
So I think we're in for a down day tomorrow. And then
Now
we have,
we got some gaps underneath, and do you think it could go down and fill some of those gaps? I mean, they've been there.
well,
Some of
I
them are
see a
low as
gap.
like
I see a
57.
gap over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to fill that
Well, no, not that one. There's one above at 5750, I thought.
right here.
Yeah, that neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think we'll go down that low.
You think the purple line will kind of keep it
I do. I
yeah.
do.
So you think it's a very brief dip, which has been the case, and you think that'll continue. Basically, you dips will be brief and not that
Not
far.
that dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think,
that's pretty much what the sunny bands are telling you too, because that
yeah,
window between the top and the purple gold is not that wide.
yeah. And so I think it's going to come down to the DMA, maybe penetrate it a little bit and then go back up again.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
talking a week here.
Yeah. Yeah. Anka, how are you feeling about the market right now? Do you think we're pretty close to starting to accelerate to the upside, or what do you think?
Yes, I'm very bullish, especially that today we completed a full buy, like a full
Hmm.
buy setup, and the rotation happened into the mega power trend above the 10 EMA on the daily. SPX today, really wild, bullish. It just needs to take out last week's high. And once it takes out the 6059.4, it's gonna go ballistically to the 6,147, the prior height that we had, I think, February 19th.
Yeah, which is kind of where her top line comes in, 6143. So that would be a target that would make some sense.
And I think we're going to 6230, which is this orange line right across
Yeah, that
here.
would be above. That would be breaking out above your top band, though, right?
Yeah, but it's got to go down a little bit first.
Yeah, but you do think the destination ultimately looks like in that neighborhood, huh?
6200.
Yeah. Well, earnings are coming out starting July 9th with Delta and a few others, and then it really hits the road running on the 15th when JP Morgan and all the banks hit it. So if they come out and they're looking for only like 4 or 5% growth in earnings as opposed to 13% for Q1. If they come in really strong and the PE ratio can stay high, those numbers you guys are talking about certainly are well within means, you know.
Mhm.
You want to share your screen a little bit, Anka, and take a look at a couple of things in the stock market that could run if, in fact, we are going to
Absolutely.
take off?
Absolutely.
You look like you're in Mexico with that outfit on.
She's not in Mexico.
No, but she looks like she could be.
She could be.
I love Mexico. It's so
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I don't know.
anyway,
You guys see the
this is on
screen?
the let's throw a couple of stocks in there because like I say, if it is going to break out, I just wanted to get a little feedback from you, like on Datadog, DDOG. These are some that could be kind of exciting if they get going.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Loving it. Really nice price compression. This is such a massive resistance level.
Yeah.
Like here, we developed like back here in October of 24, we developed this beautiful base and the breakout. This same support developed this minor resistance right now, and the key here is the 200 SMA. Once we start breaking above all of these highs, the highest high right here, which is the way I'm seeing it, 123.77, this
Yeah.
could be good to go. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing like a first level. I'm going to consider the first level on top of this resistance that we had here because it was such a big deal before we actually broke out. So this would be like into the 130, let's say to 133 level. And we also have, again, confluence resistance with this pivot low right here, which is, again, is creating that minor resistance. So we have major and minor resistance here. So we have a doozy. We break this. We're going to get into these frothy highs from the earnings into the 150 and then possibly back into these highs. But baby steps. This is going to be
Yeah.
the big test right here, the 130. And then we'll see here, we could potentially evaluate whether it's going to break it. We could bring our stop in here and then see it continue to 150. I love it.
Yeah, because there could be a rotation out of ones that have already gone to the highs and
Absolutely.
ones that are going to go to the highs.
Yes.
How about this upstart, UPST? They loan money to anybody who can walk and chew gum.
I can't do that.
That's why you're not getting a loan.
Okay, so this one I'm not so in love with, even though it's still trading below the 200 SMA. So I should be very cautious on this one. As soon as the price is going to get above it and probably have a close above it, maybe. But right
Gina.
now I see this mega area of resistance right here. And actually, I could extend it to the left-hand side. So we have this peak, this low, this peak, and this peak right here. So it has had a lot of it has had a lot of trouble in here since last
Yeah.
year. So it really needs some,
But
yeah.
it's all according what is the time frame that we're looking at here? Is this
This is the daily.
just a daily, huh?
Yeah, this is the daily.
Yeah, that's why it's good to look at the different things. Yeah, this was the one that
Yeah.
kind of had me thinking that something could happen because
Yeah.
there's a sweeping like a saucer bottom going with the moving averages, and I just thought if it got above 60, it could fly maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
again,
If it gets over 60.
they are loaning money out, and the cost of living is going up, and that would mean to me that these people will keep loaning, and if the unemployment rate stays steady, maybe they can buy it back.
Yeah.
A couple other quickies. Valero, VLO.
VLO. Of course. VLO, very bullish. Let me just remove
And
it.
we don't have to worry about too much resistance there, huh?
Yeah, but it has, I mean, everything that is energy had a big push with this
Yeah.
war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these
But
guys are refiners, and
yeah.
they basically all this energy out there has to be refined, and I think that's how they make some good money.
Yeah, but it's such a strong resistance. Let me go to a monthly chart here. Monthly chart is a little bit more encouraging. It's still into a lot of resistance. It's still trading below the 20 SMA. It's not getting a lot picked up by algos or institutions because it's still here into resistance. But let's not forget that we are not even 2 weeks away or 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away from exactly 2 weeks away from the end of the quarter and the end of the month. And we could potentially see some window dressing in this because, I mean, look at the monthly. This is very strong. And the quarterly is green. Look at the buying that occurred right into the 20 SMA here. This is very strong. This could be a window dressing contender easily So this is a top watch. Like if you're watching it, I'm going to put it on my list as well. VLO is a good contender for the last week of the
Yeah,
month.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
this
got
is
some window
good
dressing.
window dressing material.
What about this PayPal? I've got this feeling on PayPal because it does have a little bit of a connection to the crypto, and I think they're having a relationship with Coinbase. And
Hmm.
I'm just thinking if it can get above this 75.80 mark, it just
Yeah.
seems like there's nothing stopping it above
No,
there.
no. And it has, I mean, like if you look, it had a really good quarter. I mean, it really bounced. So it had the March, April, May, very,
Hmm.
very strong. June, I mean, yeah, still a little bit of pullback. But when you look, I actually looked at the quarterly chart earlier today. And I saw like a really nice bounce off support, still under the 10 EMA here, but it has a pretty good, decent chance. I don't think it's going to move that much into the end of the quarter because I think that the focus is going to be on stocks like Meta, Microsoft. I mean, they're going to get picked up. Some of the stocks that have been laggers, they're just going to be ditched. And, investors, I mean, hedge funds and so on, portfolio managers are just going to be all over these high flying stocks.
Yeah, they
It
have
just
a big thing going on with the Senate on June 17th with the Genius Act. And that's the one that has to do with regulating the stable coins. And if these guys got some kind of news out of that, that they were going to be a major player in that arena,
Mhm.
that could be a catalyst. But we're not seeing that in the price yet. It just seems to me a little undervalued. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But
Yeah, yeah, but I think there are some other flyers out there that,
yeah, I mean, I guess COIN is probably got plenty of legs left in it if it's going to have something going.
oops, yeah, hold on.
Coinbase,
Not this
COIN.
one.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
yeah. That thing still got some. I got a lot of room up to like $400 on that thing.
I don't
If it
know why
gets,
my charts
it's
are just,
buffering.
I
yeah.
think it's going up to 270, which is the upper outer sunny band.
You have the Coinbase rising, right?
I do. Just
Yeah.
20,
How about you? What do you?
270.
While we're waiting for the buffering, what do you have for MicroStrategy?
What's the symbol?
MSCI.
MSTR,
MS
TR.
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 I mean, those are the two horses that seem to
Oh,
go.
yeah, this one's stuck right at the DMA. It's just going sideways. So until it does something besides sideways, I have no instructions.
Yeah. But this Coinbase looks like it if it blew out that one level there would really get going.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
all
does,
right,
but
well I'm going to turn over to Michael here and get his idea on Fibonacci and Elliott wave on what's going on because I think you were looking for one more rally and then possibly a fade. But
Yes,
what are you
sir.
seeing now? You want to put your stuff up there and let's take a hard
I
look at it?
I do. Let me see if it should let me by now.
We got
Oh,
sunny
shit.
bands, we got charts, we got
Yep, I got everything.
punches, and now we've got Elliott
So
wave and
let
Fibby.
me move this out of the way. Put this over on that side. I um I think we're in a very, very unusual situation. And I think what I'm getting kind of conflict, but I've come up with what I have. And so I know I've spoken, this is just my hourly. Let me push this out and at least give you the daily. And the daily, I think we're still within that minor fifth and we're still within the minute fifth. And now we're just building on it. And I think last time which was last week when we spoke, I talked about how I wanted to see this. And so it did kind of complete as I expected, which it's a diagonal triangle, and that's just the first wave out of five going up. And so keeping it in that respect instead of the diagonal coming in the minute fifth wave, it just allows this third wave to have the power that it's now demonstrating. So as I left it after expiration on Friday, which was this, was that we had the possibility we had one more leg down, but then we'd have that stronger move up. But that didn't happen. We just started instead, just kind of flying higher. What is really kind of in play is not so much that everyone's returning bullish, but I think just the amount of options that expired last Friday was pretty big, and it was around SPX 6000. And so a lot dropped right out from that expiration. But now we have this expiration coming this Friday. And in the SPX alone, it's $1.1 trillion. That's what's expiring on Friday, 1.1.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's one of the largest expirations I've ever seen.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is wrapped right there at 6,000. So the kind of what we're seeing is that I'm thinking because they're not really in a panic when we see the SPX go above 6,000, because that's where they're sitting in the SPX options. So I think it's like they're like very fine with it. So in other words, they might be short the put and they're long the call. So which puts them in a perfect position to as it moves higher, they're happy. That's what I think. Otherwise, because I'm not seeing this adjustment kind of going through.
Can you throw SPX up there?
I can. And then I can show you my little
Because
conundrum.
I think that 6,000 is really a very key area because, like, they went
That's an
underneath it.
extremely key area,
Yeah,
but
they
I
went
think
underneath it, right? And now
I'm
they've
gonna,
gone above it. And then if they go back underneath it again,
well, I don't think, I
and
think
the VIX jumps
they
above 20.
they can go down, but here's the deal for me that there's like very strong support, and I think Sonny, you were showing it on your Sunny band around 59.50.
Yeah. Okay,
But
I hear that.
there's
Yeah.
there's super strength down at 5,900. So now we're just thinking we're going to actually just be in a range because it's
Mhm.
it's we still have this Iran-Israel deal going on, and we don't know, and it's escalating, not escalating. One side saying we come to the table, the other side saying not until we destroy you. So we don't know what's going on there. We got a G7 meeting, we got a lot of stuff happening. So there still remains a strong possibility that, and this is what I want to show you. If I come down to my 15-minute chart, actually I can do it on the hourly. It's going to show a little bit better. I had this is Friday. This is SPX closing on Friday, but and then I'm going to show you the ES closing on Friday. So here it actually put in an additional new low below this A wave. So I left open that potential that we're going to come back down, finish this ABC, put the two there, and then launch. But it didn't. So I'm going to still consider that this is the completion point for this wave two, calling it ABC. It's not pretty, but hey, it works. So I'm going to put that two up there, and now we're starting in wave one. Wave one
Okay.
out
So
of
if you're in
wave one
wave
of
one
five.
and you're looking for 5 waves up, I mean, we're
Five
going
waves up within the third wave. Now, let me take you back over to, and again with this expiration. Here's the thing. I came in today, larger expiration last Friday, goes off the boards. Normally, when we get that, we get a pop in volatility. Well, it came in this morning, and I'm looking, going like, wow, volatility is already being kicked to the curb. So what it kind of suggested to me, and you as being an option guy, that what happened was a lot of gamma left because it expired, and that was in risk on trades, which is selling the VIX, buying the volatility of the underlying within the SPX. So, and most of that was going into the Mag 7, which are all sitting in the SPX. So again, I start to see that happening, and then I start looking at Apple, and I start looking at Meta, and I start looking at Microsoft, the ones, everything you mentioned, Jim,
hmm
um, starting to just really get lit. So that kind of just told me that, well, we're going to probably have to wait because the amount of gamma that's expiring this Friday skunks what expired last Friday. So maybe then we'll get this a little bit of a downturn in the market, but I think it'll just be corrective, small corrective. Um, and then the vol will pop. Instead of get killed, it'll pop. Now, that's kind of my perfect scenario. If it doesn't happen, then they're just pounding these risk on trades further. Because again, I think I've talked to you and I've talked about that. Well, the market needs to just really put in a solid run higher. First of all, getting above 60.62 in the SPX, which is our 60.60, that being that high. And so over in the ES, it's doing that. It's doing that. And that's what we saw today, with this solid run up. So I put it this way to my own subscribers. I said, if we're going to be in a wave three, which we are, it has to go up without looking back. So it's like sometimes you get these big rallies, and because the market's in or whatever, it goes up it, but it comes flying right back down, which it kind of did towards the end of the day. But prior to that, it was just up, it was up, it was up, it was up, and the pullbacks were very minimal. That clued me in that it was the risk on trade. But I still think we still have more to go. In fact, I think like right now, they need to get up and test 6,100 because that's actually, when you're just looking at gamma, that's the call wall. If they go up and break above that call wall, you wait to see what they do and how fast they get to 62.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I
Well,
think
the earnings are coming up, and people with big bunches of money are going to discount what they think those earnings are going to be. And if they think it's going to be 275 times 22 times, you're at 6,050. If you're at 300 times 22 times, you're at 6,600. And
right. Well,
so,
I've got, I'll tell
people always
you,
wonder how these numbers come about. They're based on the earnings and how much people will pay for the earnings. And at the end of the
well, I
day,
can base it, but see,
you
I
know,
can just base it on fibs,
yeah.
Fibonacci. Because I think we're all in agreement. Once we get above, well, what's the high, the current high? 6160, something like up in there.
Something like that, 61 and a half.
Once we get above there, that's uncharted waters. We've never been here before. So
No,
how are we
exactly.
going to figure resistance, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's via the fibs. And I got fibs all the way up to 65.
Yeah.
And I think I got one. Oh yeah, sorry. I got one up to 69.
And that would also fit into the Bitcoin going up to 150K or better, which is what guys like Tom Lee had been saying, that by
Unfortunately, I
June and
don't think it's going
July,
to happen this time around.
well, they said something about a 14-month lag after the halving, and that 14-month lag ends June, July. So we are within 6 months of it ending, 6 weeks of it ending. And,
Right.
if you go up to 62, 6,300, there'll be a speculative fever out there. And finding people who want to gamble on Bitcoin is not going to be a tough thing to do. You throw the stable coin news out there where everyone's now mainstreaming the Bitcoins. You know, it just hit 112. I mean, to pop another 30, 40 grand on Bitcoin is not a big deal if it gets cooking.
No, it's not. But I think it's like what happened is like the other thing that cautioned me today, that threw out the caution flag, was that it was light. It was light volume until the market closed. Then all of a sudden, because we had the roll, we had the June to Sep roll in the futures market. So we went from like a million to 1,000,008 in about
Michael, if you,
When is last trading day for the June contract? Do you
Friday.
know?
Friday.
Oh,
Friday.
I got you. Yeah, well then, the rubber's going to hit the road by then, that's for sure.
Uh,
Michael, if you extend that trend line on the bottom of that channel, I think that goes over to just about where we are right now, which would be the low.
right.
That
I
one,
see
yeah.
that, but this goes for the diagonal.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped it. Where the one stops, that's where this stopped.
Yeah.
But
But the trend
I
line
see I
hit,
see your point that you can actually run it from this low and just pull it right up and it'll go
yeah,
all
and
the
it'll come
way
in
right.
just a bit lower than where we are right now.
Yeah. No, I see that. I see that. But it would, for me, it's a different trend line than what I'm showing.
Yeah. Okay.
But workable. Definitely workable.
What's the
Um,
VIX look like to you right now? I mean, I saw it
Actually
ran
got
up into the
expiration.
22, but is it
Well,
above 18 still, or is it under 18?
it is below. Well, it's rates below 19.
Yeah, but it's above 18 still?
Yes.
Yeah, so that chart there would indicate that there's support around 18, and if it went up from there, that would also be something that might indicate the market could go down, right?
Well, sort of. There's a lot of discussion that the VIX is too cheap. It's too undervalued. And so the months that we ran, and you and I talked about it, Chip, the months that we ran 14 to 18, do a pop to 20, fall back, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that they're going to get caught again. Like they ran it down here, and then we got that bombs away.
Well, I mean,
And
do you think the tide has changed on it? Because from this chart, it looks like it was obviously downtrending, and it looks like it's not downtrending any longer. And if it's not downtrending any longer, wouldn't that be an ominous sign for the the highs to be difficult to penetrate and maybe even? I
yes,
mean, are
yes.
those gaps never going to get filled at 5,700, 5,800 on the S&P and on the QQQs at
I think
490? You
yes,
want to
they
throw the
will. I do think that they will. But see, my picture for the SPX and the Dow and actually the Nasdaq as well, all of them, is that we're reaching in terms of the S&P, we're reaching a cycle degree third
okay?
high, a high. That puts a cycle four. And if I just use what Elliott teaches us, that when you're in a fourth wave, it will find its terminus, its endpoint within the fourth wave of one lesser degree. Not to kind of scare the kids or anything like that, but I just got to show you where that is. And I'm just going to move this out and show you on my maximum monthly chart. There's where cycle wave three started. That was 1949. We're finishing it up here. The fourth wave of one lesser degree is the green. That's the primary degree. And there's the box. So we're
What
looking,
does that box tell you?
that box tells me this is where that fourth wave should come down into. But I'm not talking
Mhm.
about in 6 months or a year. We're talking about cycle degree. And that cycle wave three went from 1949 to 2025.
Mm.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah,
You know,
well, an event like a debt bubble bursting would obviously be a catalyst for something like that.
oh, but we have so many things that are just kind of hanging out there on a string, sort of, that they're just unresolved. And there's just a lot of speculation on how they will resolve, which is producing the moves that we have now. I think the market can go up without any bullish tone from retail. I think it could go up on options and how the options are trading and how the gamma's being distributed. And when we get up to those expirations, so it's what the dealers and the big institutional traders, what do they want? And as long as zero DTE remains alive, they'll pin it wherever the hell they want it. And
These
it's not
buybacks
a,
are reducing the amount of stock available for purchase, just like the reason the high yield bonds are doing so well is the entire amount of high yield bonds available is like a tiny fraction of treasuries. So, the
oh
supply
yeah,
of this
yeah.
stuff is not a negative thing.
Well, and the
What
thing
about
is that
let's look at IWM real quick because they're having a realignment this month. Is anybody thinking of that or thinking it's any important?
I
Every
actually think
year,
I think it's very important because it's going
Mhm.
yeah.
to it depends on how they realign. Because again, I think what can continue to carry this all our markets higher is if we finally get IWM to pick up the pace
Right.
and to
Mhm.
break out
That's
of
been a long
this.
waiting game. Yeah.
Well, it is a long waiting game. I
Yeah,
mean,
because it never even got above the 2022 high during that rally.
no, no.
Whereas,
And
S&P
it
and
made,
QQQ went
when
way
everything
by it,
else,
way beyond it.
yeah, everything else kind of bottomed at that October 2022 low. And this,
Yeah.
but the IWM did it in October of 2023. So I think it's like this is just weird. So that could be it. So you see that the damage that was done
Hmm.
and this is a 5-year weekly chart. And so when I saw how far they dropped this back on all that tariff junk, I'm like, okay, so what is this then? Wave one of five. So I'd have to turn this into intermediate wave one of primary wave five. And this is intermediate wave two of primary wave five. So you see, look at the angle of that. So I think small and mid
Yeah.
are going to have second life.
VOT is Vanguard's mid-cap VOT.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, that's very popular, by the way,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think, I just think something has to carry the smaller trader, right? The mid-cap trader. Look at this, yeah. And VGT is the other that Vanguard has.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
look at that. Look at
Well,
VGT.
let me turn it over to Sunny real quick. And Sunny, I'd like you to show a little bit about what
Oh,
you might be seeing in the price of gold because it had a nice big run up here and Platinum's been on fire, and I've been looking at the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, and to me, it looks like it might be turning into a bull market behind everybody's back. Soybeans picked up a lot of steam lately.
Wait a minute. Might be? Might be?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So,
gold's going to 5,000. I mean,
okay.
that doesn't show on my charts. I don't have fib lines drawn on it. I just psychologically, I think it's going to 5,000. Now, every time we drop a bomb on somebody or they drop one on us, of course, the gold market will go up in response. And every time the market's going up and nothing's happening, gold will go down. So
Yeah.
there's wiggle room to go back and forth. But my long-term plan for gold is 5,000.
Yeah.
Now, are you showing a lot of 3,300, 3,350 ballpark area as being important? And if we break that, there'd be an air pocket down to 3,000?
No, I don't think we're going to go that low. I do think we might come back to the DMA, which is currently at 33.33.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's the line in the sand. If you
Yeah,
were to
that's
break
my
that
line in
area,
the sand. It is at
yeah,
33.33. So I think we might see that again and then
yeah,
go on up from there.
yeah. But I hear what you're saying. What you're saying is the gold and purple are really a baseline, and while tested often, they generally don't break. But if they do
Right.
break, they can accelerate down to the bottom bands, and the bottom bands is the 3,000 area or so, isn't it? Or 30, no, it's only
You're pretty good at
3,200.
these sunny bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's the case. We
Hmm.
could come down to the DMA. If we penetrate the DMA and close below it, then we're going on down to the lower outer band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
31.
No evidence of that now, but just something to keep
No,
an eye on. And like I
and,
say, you
and
buy it
that's
all day long against the 3,300. That's been the play.
yeah. And the lower outer band is at 3,200.
Yeah.
That remains a possibility, but I really don't think so.
Yeah.
I think
There's
it's come down
too
to
many
this area
uplifting
right here.
factors so far.
See how the
Is the
DMA
plat?
is, you see how the DMA is flat right along in
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Uh, that area should hold it.
Hmm.
Hold
Now,
it
is the
right.
silver really breaking out to the upside like it looked like it was to me? If you put up SIN 25 or something like that, yeah. And
It's coming down. It had a good run up there for a few days, and then now it's coming back down a little bit, which is to be
Validating.
expected. But I think silver is going on up.
Yeah.
Silver is still a metal that we use in manufacturing. Well, I guess gold is too, but silver's had a better run than gold has.
Hmm.
And it's still in
platinum,
the breakout
want to
pattern.
take a look at you want to take a look at the platinum because that one finally got above 1,000. And my
Yeah,
buddy who's in the metals, he thinks it could go to 1,800.
give me a
It
symbol
can
for
go, it
platinum.
can go
Oh,
higher.
PL is this, isn't it PL?
Yeah, PL.
Okay, there we go. So we had a nice run up in platinum
Mhm.
and then a good correction. And now it's bounced off of that. Is that the upper inner band? So that could provide some struggling room right in through here as it consolidates.
I guess.
Hmm.
Would not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could correct down to the DMA, I think. So that we're looking at the DMA, it's 1182. So that wouldn't surprise me at all, but neither would it surprise me if it continues on up from where it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good bid to it.
The
Is the
histogram has turned red. You can see how it goes gold, 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 and then turns red. As
mhm.
that moves down and closer to the zero line, we expect more down movement.
There's a couple of fertilizer stocks, CF and MOS, and they've been getting a very strong bid, and that led me to get involved with
Oh,
the soybeans, and the soybeans have been going up good. But this is a fertilizer stock, and somebody's putting money in this thing for a reason, don't you think?
somebody sure is. And they had a big run up with, I call this wicking, when these
Mm-hmm.
wicks go way up and then the body's small like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those wicks are the algos trading, I think. And,
Mm.
it came right back down to this level, which is essentially the high of the previous bar. And it looks to me like it's going to try that high again.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and MOS. That's another one that seemed to be getting going, and that's only it went from 25 to 35. Doesn't sound like a
Am I
lot, but it's a
sharing
50.
my screen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Sure.
okay.
This
Yeah,
one seems like it might be an easier bet from the standpoint of it hasn't had the full Monty yet.
well, it's closed above the flat DMA. You see how flat this is?
Mm-hmm.
And this last bar today has closed above that level. Again, another wick. And I think it's going to go on up to the upper inner band at 37 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that led me to think that the soybeans might go, and the SX or ZSX. I don't know how they go on each one. Mine is ZSX25.
At S is all mine is on TradeStation. So soybeans.
Does that give you the soybean right there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Right
Yeah.
there.
Now, like I say, my thought was it wasn't going to break 10. So anytime it was around 10, I thought it was a pretty good deal. And then it's finally starting to get some legs. I just didn't know if the legs were wobbly or not.
The legs are pretty wobbly because we've got wicks on both sides of the closing. So we've
I
got
got you.
a lot of up move, a lot of down move. It's indecision. They don't know if they want to go up or down.
Yeah.
And so it's real questionable in here. We could either go on up to the upper outer band or we could
Yeah.
drop below the upper inner band.
Yeah.
You just have to be ready for both.
Yeah. But those fertilizer guys, somebody's ordering fertilizer for a reason. Hope it's not to create bombs.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Hopefully it's for legitimate purposes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a few things that I was seeing that might be pretty good. Anka, you want to get your charts back up there and give us a few ideas that you might be zoning in on?
All right. Okay. So I had to change my charting software because that one was not working and I didn't want to put on my platform. So, all right. So let me see. Okay. Here we go. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see the chart.
QQD.
Oh, okay. Q, Q, Q.
QD.
All
Yeah.
right. So some stuff that I'm watching financials. Financials are very strong.
Mm,
I'm already in JP Morgan. I have been in JP Morgan for some time. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, incredibly strong. So let's put JP Morgan here since I'm already in. And it's very, very bullish. So once it
yeah.
broke above this 250, 252 level, I was in. This is the other breakout. It's above the 20 SMA. It really looks like it really wants to start moving higher.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure if this is like the last hurrah, or let's not forget that we have the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. I don't know. I was a little bit like leery that I saw this price action today. So I
Yeah.
was expecting more of a base or a little bit of a pullback in financials. Typically, they do like to pull back ahead of FOMC, but this was very strong. So this is JP Morgan. So I could put up, for example, Goldman Sachs, incredibly strong as well in a very
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
pattern. So very, very strong. Bank of America, here's Bank of America, a little bit weaker, but still within the same ranges. We have resistance up here. We have support here from the 200 SMA. This is very, very, very bullish. And basically everything that we look at, let's see, Morgan Stanley, like
Mm-hmm.
everything that we look at, everything is very
Mm-hmm.
bullish in financials. XLF as well, so we can put it up.
How about Wells? Wells got out of the jail, out of the doghouse.
Ah,
Wells Fargo.
ah,
Free at
Um,
last. But they haven't done so good since free at last. Maybe they better go back in.
there's still, you know what? There's still, there's still on support. Look at this bounce here. So this is not bad, but it's
No.
it's a little bit weaker than the whole bunch, but I don't think it's going to get picked up. I'm really focused on high flying stocks, especially into the end of the quarter, because I know that laggards are just going to get dumped. And I would much rather, get on something that, has the possibility to move higher.
Yeah,
SoFi.
yeah. Is that now? I've been fooling around with that thing at
This
around
is super
14
hot.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the options are dirt cheap, so I love them. But
Yeah.
I need a pop. Yeah.
Exactly. It looks very good. It popped up again today above 1480. Maybe it's going to continue higher. I really love the price point. I love everything about it. So this one is really good.
Yeah. The
No,
earnings
I
are
like,
coming out. Like I say, on July 15th. And so these people might start front running. I had extremely good success in January, front running Q4 earnings in JP
yeah.
Morgan. The stock jumped up a lot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so, they always make money. I mean, it's like
Yep.
always.
Yep. Yep. So Reddit, I love Reddit. This is the daily chart in Reddit. Take a look at this base, just flirting with the 200 SMA today. So
Hmm.
really, really hot. And then if you look at the monthly, I don't have a quarterly chart here. Oops, sorry. But if you look at the monthly, look at this beautiful sandwich buildup. So we're almost taking out the prior month high. And if we do this, we're just gonna squeeze up very hard into the 174. This is my next move in Reddit. Just
Yeah.
waiting for it.
It seems like it's on sale big time because didn't it used to be 250 or something like that?
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. It used to be right here, 229, I think the
And
high.
I heard they have an audience that people can't get to very easily, so that's why it's such a valuable asset.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a certain kind of person who uses that. I'm not one of them, but I heard there is,
No, me neither. Yeah.
yeah, but people are using them, and it's an audience that advertisers would like to get to, and they're not going to get them on Google. They're not going to get them on Facebook.
No. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different breed.
Yeah.
This
How
one
about
is
the
strong
Bank of
too.
New York? How about Bank of New York? They're supposed to be friendly to the crypto crowd too, which I thought was wild. I think of Bank of New York as like the
Yeah.
most conservative ever. But yeah, what do you that's looking all right, huh?
That is looking extremely bullish, and this
Yeah,
is a monthly chart. Weekly chart again. Look at the weekly chart. This is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
This is like Christmas light effect type of move right here. Like you have the green, the red, the green, the red, green, the red. It's really, really, really bullish. I love the weekly. Looks like it really wants to break out. If we
yeah.
take out the $90.70, it's gonna fly. It's gonna fly. Daily here as well. So like I said, all financials are looking really good. Like it's something's too good to be true here.
But right before the storm, if they
I
all
mean,
come out
like
and blow,
I'm
if
afraid.
they blow it out of the water, and
Yeah,
also dereg is supposed to be coming, and these guys are supposed to also come out with their own coins with the stable coins. So
yeah,
you have that whole crypto thing hitting these banks, and then you've got dereg, and then if you ever get the Fed to ease it all, I mean, it would be quite a thing, you know.
right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm just gonna stick with my JP Morgan, even though I am so
yeah,
tempted
that's
to buy
lead dog.
like
Yeah.
all these financials with both hands.
Yeah, JP Morgan's the lead dog, so obviously it's the
Yeah,
one that
JP Morgan did really good today.
yeah. What about the tech guys like Broadcom and Oracle? And Oracle went nuts, but AMD, any of those guys going to have some legs here, or is the tech trade you think more mellowing out?
I am an Oracle. Oh, let me see. I'm typing one thing. Okay. So I don't really like Oracle had earnings last week. I don't really hold stocks through earnings because I don't do options. So if I would do options, I would hold them through earnings.
Yeah.
But since last year, I have noticed that, you know what? So what? I'm just gonna. I have started to hold stocks through earnings. So I was taught never to hold stocks from, into earnings. You're gonna get like all these surprises. Your R
Right.
is gonna go, yeah. You're gonna lose more than one R. You could lose 10 R's. You could do this, and I'm like, you know what? Like, so what? Like, if you have the risk tolerance for it,
Hmm.
just add more at the bottom. And I have been
Yeah.
doing that. And I have to say, like with 100% success rate, like every single stock that I heard through that I held through earnings within the last year and a half has been going ballistic. Oracle is one of them. And again, this was, a pretty because we got it here around the 150. And this was a really boring trade, especially that it plateaued here into the 200 SMA. But then when it started to pick up, I'm like, this is gonna go. Like it had like nothing that could go against it. But of course, there could be something. But I'm still holding in Oracle very strong. Today we have an inside day. Tomorrow I'm gonna be base my decision based on this inside day. If we start coming in, I'm gonna sell it. And literally, it's much better to sell it, let's say at $208, than to have sold it into the 177. So
Of
I'm
course.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
that is a gap. That is a gap that is obviously a draw. You know what I mean?
exactly. I'm in
Yeah.
Micron again. I got in Micron here, 99 bucks at the
Hmm.
breakout. It ran really well. I wish I had AMD today. I would say that I was too chicken to get it because I was looking at this doji here and I'm like, nah, I should wait. You snooze, you lose. This is what it did today. Okay, so AMD ran like wildfire today. I think it's too late. I gotta wait either for a continuation or a pullback or something to set up because this is not my kind of trade. It's kind of like FOMOing here. So I don't want to just jump in. But AMD really good. Broadcom, Nvidia, by the way, is in a breakout pattern. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Get above that
Nvidia.
145. There you go. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Nvidia's in a breakout pattern. It could start going ballistic very, very
Yeah.
soon. And I'm also in Nvidia, but I have not added to it. I have to say that I'm just, chilling. Like I'm so chill going into FOMC. I just don't have, a lot of positions on. I am stalking too. I'm stalking Tesla.
Yeah. Well, Tesla looks like it definitely wants to take off.
Yeah, a higher low right here. If we
Yeah.
take out this high, we would confirm the higher low, and this would
Yeah.
be like step one. I would have though half the size. I wouldn't go like full size, but I would just get it over these highs, the 335.50 for a shot back into 350 and 360, 365, 367. This resistance right here. And because we're,
Let me ask you a quick question on a
yeah,
couple of other ones. Akamai, AKAM.
yeah,
To me, I thought that was breaking out, and Marvell I've done well at as
okay,
well. AKAM,
yeah,
Akamai.
okay, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, is
I don't
that
know
going to
why
be
my
going?
computer's slow. Yeah.
Is this thing going to go? What do you think?
I
Like
would say
that
it
group?
goes. I think it goes. It's
Yeah.
stuck into a little bit of resistance here, but I think it's gonna go. I think it's gonna go, let's say 85, 200 SMA, and then we'll discuss. If we don't get any rejection here, it could fly to fill the gap, or if it's going to get a rejection here, any kind of pullback, maybe a buy to fill the gap, and then some more.
To me,
Yeah,
it looks
because
like it's,
I'm a call guy here, and so I tried to buy them when they're dirt cheap, and when they run up to that red line, then I can get a big bag and put the money in there.
and on my charts, this one has broken the DMA to the upside, closed above, and now it's going to go on up to the upper outer band at 81 change.
What a beautiful song I'm hearing. Uh, what about Marvell Technology? I already made a hit on it, and I reloaded a little bit. MRVL.
Yes,
Is that ready to go up to 80 and give me another bang, bang, bang?
absolutely. I
Yeah.
love the breakout. Again, it is into a little bit of resistance. We have
Yeah.
resistance here from
Yeah.
earlier in the year, but it looks like the 200 SMA is it.
Yeah. I would
That'll
think
fill
so.
the gap that's over on the middle of my chart.
Yeah, I saw that too. So, yeah, so these are some of the ones that had caught my eye because
Yeah.
I thought they had a lot of volatility potential and the premiums are quite reasonable, so that was pretty good.
Hmm.
But basically, you're thinking that get a look at these banks because you know what, you got to sometimes get in before the herd, and if those banks start announcing, free cash
Oops.
flow
Sorry.
and our free net interest income and those kind of things. The only thing that people get nervous is they start doing bad loan reserves or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Loan loss reserves are increasing. Sometimes they get nervous, but mostly
Mhm.
these banks just really spit out money, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll hold on because I just lost my chart right now.
How's a $4 trillion increase in the national debt going to affect them?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to affect them the way it's affected everything since 1982, and that's just make it go up. I mean, that's the game we play here. Is we deficit spend and we give credit cards to everybody who can walk and chew gum. Now we'll give you
Right.
a credit if you can't afford your groceries. If your
Right.
car broke down, we can give you a loan to fix it. So there's so much debt
Yeah.
creation. Uh, that's the game that gets you up here. You wouldn't be at these levels without debt creation. I mean, you go to these other nations and you go, doesn't everybody have a credit card? Not in our country.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Even
And
our
so,
kids have credit cards.
yeah, so you know what I mean. It's the game that is played. That's why Trump wanted to raise that ceiling because he knows the game has to be about
Mhm.
credit and
Yep.
available money. And he had ideas, and they all have ideas that they're going to, bring the revenue in from this, that, and the other. But there's so much fixed expenses into the budget. They need to have that deficit, and they need to have that ability to issue debt to keep this thing going. Michael, I wanted to give. Was this one last one you wanted to talk about, Anka?
Yes.
Hi, Go. Okay,
Um,
because I wanted to give Michael
Actually,
just
yes,
a
let's
shot.
talk about the bonds.
Yeah. So you want to just what do you call it? Give us some ideas on on your charts with like how the setups are for bonds and maybe crude oil. I mean, crude oil is kind of in the
Crude oil,
news.
I don't follow anymore. I think crude oil is like once everything simmers down, may just
It's going to
also.
go right in the toilet again. Yeah.
I don't know toilet, but it should kind of head back.
Yeah.
Um, right now,
It's doing a 4-hour rotation now.
yeah, I
Based
think
on, yeah, based on what Trump said that everybody should be evacuating Tehran.
Well, he
right.
might be a little late on that notice. Huh?
Yes, might be.
Yeah.
I actually think that the one thing when you're talking about the credit market, we have to remember what happens to each of us as retail, as independent people. What happens when your credit score gets cut and it goes down? You
Pay
can no
more.
longer borrow at that cheap rate.
Exactly. Rate's got to go up.
United States had their credit score cut. The United States, the federal government had their credit score diminished, cut,
Yep.
downgraded. So to think that, okay, let's lower the interest rates because we're going to give away the money for free. No one's going to lend it to you to give it to anybody else.
Hmm.
They're not going to do it. And so we saw the 20 was auctioned off today. Still got pinned at 5%, which was a surprise last time, but it actually is going to work out to be, 4.9 something. The 30 got auctioned off yesterday, day before, close to 5%, just under 5%.
Mm.
So the whole deal about you get downgraded by Moody's, S&P, and Fitch, well, guess what? You no longer can borrow at a cheap rate. No one is going to give you the money.
Hmm.
And so I think that's the danger. As like I said it last time, Jim, I'm going to say it again. The canary in the coal mine to me are treasuries, the bond market. And the main reason that Moody's gave was the inability of the government to cap spending, to start doing deficit, reduce the spending.
Hmm.
And so what do we got in the works? Well, like Sonny said, we can add 4, 5, maybe 6 trillion more dollars over the next 10 years. Do we think that we're going to get the Fed to start lowering the rate? And it's like it's got to stop because it's killing retail. It's killing the small guy. If you're a billionaire or even a millionaire, well, yeah, you got enough. You'll survive it, and you're not out there borrowing. But if you are, you're preferred. You'll get that 1.9 on a car or zero. So right
Or
now
you'll
I think
pay, or you'll pay cash.
or you'll pay cash. Like the house next door to me sold $3 million cash.
Mm.
Wow.
They still haven't moved in. The guy is a CEO and owner of a big tech firm that deals in AI for finance.
Mm.
Do you think he's a bazillionaire? I do.
Mhm.
That's my neighbor. But he's not moving in. Anyway, I think the bond market, I think I made an adjustment. Before I thought that this was a low. And I went to October of 23. And then what we're going to do is a B wave up. So I was putting an A wave down here. Then it came down. It's like it keeps having trouble trying to get back because I think it shouldn't be at 112. I think it should be at 135
Yeah.
in terms of a B wave. And it's not doing it. So I readjusted, figuring, okay, that third was here, the fourth is there, and this is 1, 2. What's our next step? We are going down.
Well,
Is
with
this the 10-year or the 30-year?
This is the 30 year.
Okay, the long bond.
And
This,
what's the Fed going to say on Wednesday about that with interest rates now being at 5% and they want 2%? So
well, they want 2% inflation. They
they're
want
not going to lower
2%
the rates the
inflation.
way Donald Trump wants them to.
Yeah, well, no, that's not going to happen. It's just not because the thing is, it's like even they say, well, everybody's going to get a tax cut. Well, you're slicing and dicing all the government to pieces. So services that really people count on are being cut. And there's a lot that tells us or tells me that, yep, we're going to rally. Yep, we're going to break out. Yep, we're going to go to the top. But I think we're reaching a major top. And I think the bond market, the 30-year bond, that's where I think we're going.
Why
Minimum.
don't you throw up the dollar as a closing thing here? Because if the rates are going to go up, is it possible the dollar has a big run against the foreign currency because our yield advantage would be substantial?
Um, I hear you on that.
Or if it breaks from here, I see it going to 90 on the dollar index. But if it doesn't
Well,
break from here,
well, I think
you
it
know,
does break, but I think we got some really strong support around 95.
okay, so maybe it'll just dip through it a little bit because I had
Well,
90 as the next spot if in fact we break this
what would
neighborhood.
be at this, just on an Elliott basis, you got one, two, and I'm looking for that third at a minor degree. It would be equal to wave one at this level, 95. I don't like that because I don't think, I don't want it to be the shortest way out of one, three, and five, but I think we're doing five down. And so I think eventually, like you just said, I think we end up here. Now,
Yeah, that's where your 89 is, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What about, oh, can we throw up euro? You know what that symbol is? Is it
6E.
6E? Yeah. Why they come up with these symbols, I don't know.
Oops, I don't know.
6E,
Well, six for the currencies because
6.
you've got, 6E, the 6B, the 6J,
Yeah. I
those
don't
are
know.
for all the different ones. I think this one is the opposite, right? These they're getting blown out. And
So
it's
this
just,
thing's still trading at 116 again?
yeah, kind of
Wow.
pops down a little bit, but I think that it can get to 120. And I think actually that's
Now,
a
is that, hold on, what about that RSI underneath? Is that telling you maybe a double top there? And maybe
double
it is?
top, but it's going to consolidate. It just needs to relieve this overbought
Right.
side.
Not enough there to cause a substantial drop and make the dollar jump up toward 102, 104.
I don't, but you're kind of, the thing is, it's like it will, but
Because nobody thinks it's going to happen, which means the options are dirt cheap if you think it's going to happen.
well, yeah, but see, I think here, look what this is. It's coming off that big low. But no, to be honest with you, this could be one, two, and we're in a third, and we're going to 120. We're going to go higher.
Well, then, that's what people are talking. 125.
Well, what's that tell you for the dollar?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, I just
Yeah,
don't understand where a country that has to cut their interest rates 9 times in a row, who
right.
has deflation as a backdrop, and they're going to be tariffed to death, is the place to go. But apparently,
Well, but
that's what's
are
going on.
we that far away from that exact same situation? You mentioned the big D word. Are we that far away to where we head into that?
It could happen, but not according to Besant, who says that the growth is going to be there because of whatever he thinks it's going to happen. But if his growth numbers are right, we're just going to grow into everything.
Yeah, it's like the problem is I don't know. I
Yeah,
take it.
there's a lot of risks out there, but not a lot of factual stuff. Real quick, let's go around the horn here. Sonny, let's explain exactly how you're going to help us because everybody here helps investors a little different. So it's kind of neat to hear each person. So, Sonny, could you explain how you help people?
Absolutely. I have a website, moneymentor.com, where you can find out everything I know. I've got over 1,000 pages on my website, so I keep track of just about everything. And you can go to resources and find anything you want. And you can go, of course, to the order form and find everything that I have available to help you. I do sell my Sunny Bands and my dynamic moving average. I can make them available to the public, although I wrote them initially just for my own trading and used them for years just for my own trading, but now I make them available to other people for Metastock, Multicharts, TradeStation, and Metastock, TradeStation. Oh, and NinjaTrader.
Andrew Trader, right?
Yeah, so that we have
Okay. That's the sign.
So
Anka Metcalf, Trade Out Loud. How are we helping people over there?
If you want to put your money to work, we have the Stock Swing Trader. We call trades every week with full comprehensive market analysis, and we have a track record of over 10 years. Phenomenal track record, positive track record. And then if somebody in here is interested in generating income, I have a trading room that does just that. I basically handhold everybody through the trades. I call the trades, and we do the market analysis together. So we're having a lot of fun.
Perfect.
And we're making a lot of money.
Which is important.
It works.
It's very important.
Which
Very
is the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael, real quick.
real quick. I have memberships on YouTube where I present daily a morning and a daily update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. I do a weekly where I include the cash and the future, but Monday through Friday, I'm basically just doing the futures market. I also have a live stream and I'll be boosting on that. We're going to have a little bit more to do with mindset so that people are dealing with a mindset, with a problem with their mindset. You would get a lot of help, a lot of analysis, a lot of coaching through that. But right now, it's more set up for day traders and basically day traders. And that's basically what I have become. I'm a day trader in the futures market. So,
Okay.
and
Sounds perfect. That's the way you
yeah.
get a hold of you and everything, and you can learn from that.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. And real brief, as far as Option Professor is concerned, I know a lot about options, and tomorrow we have a webinar. So if you'd like to learn more about options, give me an email, optionprofessor@gmail.com, and I will send you the link. That's all the time we got. In fact, we have more time than we did overtime today. Sorry about that, guys, but I appreciate Sonny, Michael, and Anka very much. And I'm going to send it back to David, and we'll be talking again, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Excellent discussion. So, yeah, just a quick reminder for everyone, be sure to subscribe to Timing Research on YouTube, Substack, or your favorite podcast app. And you can also just go to TimingResearch.com and get access to this recording as soon as I can get it posted. Also, any of the past shows and events will be there as well. Oh, also be sure to join us tomorrow for Analyze Your Trade. We'll have almost 20 analysts throughout the day, starting 10 a.m. Eastern time and going until 6 or 7 Eastern at night. And that'll be no presentations, no agenda. Just enter your symbols, and the analyst will look at the charts that you want to look at. So again, that's Analyze Your Trade on TimingResearch.com. That'll be tomorrow, June 17th. And you just come to TimingResearch.com and you'll be able to access the room. So, all right, just want to thank my guests again for today. Anka Metcalf of TradeOutLoud.com, Sonny Harris of MoneyMentor.com, Michael Filighera of LogicalSignals.com, and the Option Professor of OptionProfessor.com. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
David.
Bye.